allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody have anything they would like to have removed from the consent agenda at this time?
No.
Okay. Anything from public comments? This time? Russell, fiscal business.
Nothing for today, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I have administrative under new business administration discussing Rich Surface from Energy Alliance to discuss some potential energy aggregation for Clearview County.
Yeah, the market has continued to be volatile, but Energy Alliance has continued to monitor it, and Rich has some news to share with us and some things to consider.
Okay, Rich, if you would come forward and state your name again for us.
Sure. Rich Surface from Energy Alliances. Thank you for having me out again this morning. I think it was here in the spring. At that point, we had decided to let the aggregation programs lapse because the prices we were seeing, even though we knew that AES and these prices were going to go higher, it just wasn't worth locking it at that time. So why am I here now, and what's changed? Well, I think the big thing for Duke, will say nothing has changed. I'm not here to talk about the Duke portion of it. Here to focus on the AES accounts and the aggregation. So when I was here last, at that point, AES used to only run the one auction a year in March, right? And they either got lucky like they had in 20 and 21, or they got very unlucky like they did in 22. Well, I think because of how things shook out in 22, they said, well, doing it once a year, not a good thing for the customers. So they're now going to do two a year, one in November, and it looks like it's still the one in March. So because of the November, where we hadn't done anything in the spring, we were still a year out from when AES would run their auction. I said it wasn't worth taking a risk not knowing the price that would get set a year out. Even though we still don't know the price for November, the things in the market we're seeing right now is that prices are not going to really get any better. So AES, before their auctions come out, they set on where they think the kind of price range is going to be, and they did that last week, and they said that the auction price, so even though they run the auction with the suppliers, and they set that price, and that eventually that gets transferred over to a tariff, which is what the customers pay. They said right now they believe that auction is going to be somewhere between 10 and 14 cents for next year. So, with that, and seeing, so Duke ran their first auction in September for part of theirs, and they came out at 11.5 cents. And then First Energy, so that's across the north, that's like Toledo, the Cleveland area, they came in at 12.5 cents. And one ran one in September, another one ran in October. So the signs are, these prices are high, right? There's some other things going on in the market right now that I think the utility prices used to be sort of a safe place. I think there's some premiums being built in by these suppliers that choose to bid on the default load that are really keeping these things up. So again, I'm here with the idea that even though we don't know the auction until target until next month, these prices are higher. Right? And what we're seeing, at least in the market and what we can do, I think we could do something probably sub 9 cents, which would save the all-electric homes starting, and that would start in January. So that would save those all-electric home stuff for the balance of this winter, because they're at 9.2 now. And then the non-all-electric homes, they're at 10.9. So I think if we could do something, say 9 cents or below starting this January, we can offer savings to residents for the balance of this winter, and very likely into next year, because the market is telling us that these prices are going to be very high, at least into next year. So I think there were some considerations. The last time I was here for an at or below of 9 cents, I think it was, but that was for a 24-month, I don't remember if we did sort of a blanket 24-month term. I think now, we may want to consider something at least through May of 2025, so it's that would be over 24 months at this point. It may be somewhere less than that, but I think kind of seeing where the market is, if we would go into the winter of 24, 25, we might as well just kind of extend that spring, because AES's rates would be locked for that time anyway. Again, I thought it was time to come here and at least talk about the AES residents and small businesses that this market does not look like it's improving, and I think there's opportunity to offer some savings starting, really in the next couple of months, where, I didn't know that, I think, 6 or 7 months ago, the last time I was here. So things have changed.
So can we do a 30-month term?
You could. I think it's not, because prices are June to May, I don't think it's worth going into like that next planning year, right? So I think we either we kind of start or stop things around the winter time, before we kind of get into the all-electric homes when their prices take a dive with utility, or we stop in May, which is before the next planning year goes.
Right, that's what I guess that's why, if we did that, it would be a 30-month, would it not?
If we had something in November.
Yeah.
Well, no, it couldn't start, so we still have to run the opt-out again, because you don't have a current program now. We still would have to do the 21-day opt-out, and now we still have to file the stuff with the Public Utilities Commission. So you have to kind of think we're 45 days out from now. If something would happen, if you guys would approve something, and it looks like Dynegy, I did go out to bid with several suppliers. Dynegy, who was your previous supplier, was the best. So we would come back to them again.
So that puts us mid-December to mid-May of 25. So that would be 30 months.
It's 12, 24, yeah.
Close to.
Yeah, maybe it's 29 months, because it would start on the January metery date, February bill, and then end on and then it would end on the May, so yeah.
It'd be very close.
20 or 21.
I like the idea because the election is 2024. By May, whatever happens in the White House, that I think is going to affect this, I would hope. I don't know, that's just my thought.
What's the current rate running right now that you're seeing in the market?
So on Friday, I did get a price from down here around 8.6 cents, but over the weekend, the market's up. Well, the market used to move 5–10% a year. This thing is moving 5–10% a day. So this winter is actually up about almost 10% since Friday. So that's why I'm sort of building in that buffer, because if I go to them after I leave this meeting and say, hey, Clear Creek wants to move forward, I don't want it to be, 9.1, and then you say, obviously we're doing, but we're somewhere, we'll call them the upper 8s as a Friday afternoon.
I think the Energy Choice Ohio, I just brought their website up, and it's 8.6 for 12 months, and then there's also another 8.79 for 36 months from Energy Harbor. So that's perfect.
Okay, well, we certainly need to, I think, get into some kind of agreement with you to get this, keep it rolling, so we can take advantage of it. So with that being said, do we need you to bring back a new contract for us?
Well, I think the preference would be, and I don't know how it works as far as having to do the at or below again, but I think we want to do that so we can move quickly with the contract. I mean, I could have a draft contract. You've not seen a contract yet, but obviously you've done just so we know they're very clean. I could have a draft one over probably by midday for approval with that, but I think obviously days are important, so we don't want this thing to slip too much because
I'd suggest we have them send us at or below contract, and then if we have to have should we have maybe something special to get it into effect?
Yeah, I was just going to say, that was exactly what I was suggesting. Why don't you make a motion and state the at or below right now on the record, whatever it is that you're going to say, and then we'll come back at a special meeting to authorize the contract. If it takes 2 weeks, then it'll take 2 weeks however long, but authorize a special meeting, you need 24-hour notice on that, just to pass the contract.
So as soon as we get an at or below contract from him?
Yeah, what I think I'm hearing is from the trustees is making a motion today to authorize Matt and me to start looking at the contract, and then bring it back and an at or below, and then bring it back for you at some special meeting to approve it so we can lock the prices in.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. If I can make it, so I think what we did last time was you actually, a motion, right, a motion, you had approved that Mr. Clark could sign a contract if it was 9 cents or lower. So you had given authority to him after approval of contract and everything else, so that you knew your ceiling
We
price?
didn't have to come back.
Correct. So that you knew your ceiling price.
I'm fine with that, but the problem is at some point we need an architecture from the trustees to approve that's why I said I'm going to do it in the step letter with motion. I thought we came back and approved that later anyway with a resolution. I would feel like we have to, but that's why we got to come back later and approve with the resolution, but you're locked in and you get Matt to sign off on it.
So we could still waive regular meeting in that situation.
That's actually true, as long as you authorize Matt to sign it.
Right.
It's true, yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay. Then,
Lock in at 8/6 or what?
I love 8/6.
I don't think we'll, again, with it being 8/6 on Friday, I can't guarantee it'll be 8/6 today, just knowing, how the market moves. So
You want 9?
Well, I think we stay with the 9, right, for right now, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get something lower than that. I'm just very concerned that it was 8/6 Friday, and the market's up.
Below.
Correct, and I'm gonna do everything I like, the 8 looks nice, right, something in the 8, and that's gonna be everything, in my power to do that.
So let's authorize Matt to sign a contract to at 9 or below, once you get it back to him, and then we look it over and approve it, and then we'll approve it again, and look at it and confirm it at our next.
For what term?
Well, I think what you were talking about for the
30 months?
29 or 30 months, whatever that works out.
That would just say, you need not to exceed May of 2025, right? And then I can find that, if there's a sweet spot,
Sure.
we'll look for that sweet spot.
Okay.
Starting May.
So it would be for a January 2023 start date on that meeting.
Until May.
So, not to exceed May of 2023.
25.
I'm sorry, 25. Yeah, and so this is only for the AES customers.
Right.
I'm gonna probably come back with the Duke, to talk about Duke within the next, I would think, 3 or 4 months, once they've ironed things out.
And then, yes,
But this is only for the, being clear, only for the AES customers.
Do we have that motion somehow?
So moved.
Well, they're working on it.
So moved.
There you go.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay.
Perfect.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. Okay.
Look forward to seeing that over and seeing what happens.
Thank you.
I mean, we're all new customers, so we're really looking forward to what you come back with on that. I think we are. Yeah, you're due for it.
Anything else at this time?
Yeah, not this time.
Fire District, we have Resolution 5397, a resolution awarding the architectural engineering service for Station 24 project to KZF Design, dispensing with the second reading.
Yeah, the board authorized us to receive RFQs. KZF is the only firm that replied. They will be able to do the work we need them to do. The proposal was submitted to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
So why, is there a particular reason why we're not getting bids from other people?
Market's
There's
pretty
gotta
hot
be
right
some
now. And
Yeah, they got
companies are bidding out there. I'm doing bonds for companies all the time. Why aren't we getting those other bids in here? I wonder what the heck's going on with that? Or have we narrowed what we told them we want? Because of this last project, to focus that some of the outside people that didn't get a bid on this are not coming back in? I mean,
Speculation.
What the reason?
The speculation that I have is that since KZF is who we selected to do our facilities assessments, they know the intricacies of it. I would think that other firms might tend to shy away once an architect and engineering service has their foot in the door, because they know KZF knows the gremlins and the warts, whereas other companies might walk in blind as to some of the challenges, but KZF's already researched it.
Oh, but they would have the access to KZF's information to find those gremlins. I don't know, I just hate the time, not to have anything wrong with them. But man, we're not,
I never like to say accepting a single bid.
me too. I don't know what we do to get, to attract somebody, that's, what the heck do you do to get somebody else to put a bid in?
It can certainly be reissued if the board so desires.
I would say if we hadn't worked with them and liked their services, I would be more cautious
Yeah.
with that. But we have developed a good working relationship with them. Scott Sendez, their architect, has done some work ahead of time for us as we did some cost estimates and, you know, wade through some waters that we just weren't prepared to do or qualified to do. He was helpful with that. So we have a pretty good working relationship with them. So if it was somebody we didn't know and it was the only one, I would certainly be more concerned from a technical perspective.
Gotcha. So they've helped us out where we needed some help.
Yeah, they've been very helpful.
Okay. So you guys want to go ahead and award this,
I'd like to have a little discussion about some of the specifics. This bid is assuming construction is going to include headquarters at Station 24. And,
a new station in the spring?
exactly.
Right.
And I think we really need to look hard at the future. Is it going to be in the best interest of the non-residents of Springboro and the residents of Springboro to have that inequality of facilities, the optics of it? You know, we're going to have...
What's the inequality of facilities?
Well, if we put headquarters in a new location in Springboro,
Right.
they'll have Station 21 and 24 as the cream of the crop of our facilities. And we've got Station 22 and 23 outside.
So when you say cream of the crop, what are you talking about? Just because administration's in town? Our administration being in town doesn't have anything to do with the way the operations run.
But,
Not in my opinion, anyway.
Well-
If it's not run the same with the other ones, then we're not running it right.
no, I'm saying the facilities are an upgrade to what facilities are outside the city limits. If we're looking down the road, you know, one of the things that we all want is to maintain one fire district working together.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if we have the two best facilities and administration inside the city, there's a greater likelihood that there's going to be a split in the future than if we have more equality outside, facilities outside, the executive team being in the city versus outside the city. Would be less likelihood that it's going to be changing if there's more equality. And my proposal would be, let's look at having the headquarters at the property that we might be buying.
The next station out on line.
Exactly, where we would have room to grow. The facility that we're going to have at Station 24 in Springboro, if we've got the headquarters there and a salt barn or salt building and a storage building there, I don't think there's quite as much room to grow that way. But it just makes sense to me that it would be more stable and more fair and looking down the road, you know, equality, I guess.
Well, okay, so let's look at it from let's piece it together. One, we are going to build a new fire building for one of our existing stations, so I think that addresses part of that
Sure.
issue. Secondly, if somewhere down the road, if there was a split, there's a pretty good chance we're going to have to build another fire building either way, if you think about where we service now with even our existing buildings. I mean, 21 can't, it services the township on the south end, correct?
Correct.
So, to me, you're making assumptions, and I understand what you're saying, but you're making assumptions of how it would break out if it were to split up at some point. We know the city's got one growth spurt left. We've had annexation discussions with them, and, you know, we've been successful in being able to maintain what we see in our vision of development of the township. So, I understand what your concern is. I don't agree with it from the perspective of if we were to split, how that would break out anyway. Because they're gonna have to buy things, we're gonna have to buy things, and we're gonna have to build another building, and there's a decent chance, I would think, that they would have to build another building. So, I'm making assumptions, but I know, I would think we would have to for sure, if that were a split.
There were some of the response models we ran through GIS. The city would probably, they may need to build another station, but we probably would, and it would be more likely the piece of land to the north of the police station, something like that, would be where we would locate a third station if the board would take that recommendation to help us respond. So that would
Okay.
be my recommendation if a split did occur for response purposes.
So we're assuming if there's a split, I mean, we're not assuming that. If there's a split, Steve, you're saying they would take the two stations in town, plus whatever equipment was allotted to them, and are you suggesting that they're going to service the southern part of Clear Creek Township? Because if we're gonna have to build a station, you can't service south of the high school from all, having everything up here in the north, can we? We'll have the same damn problem we have right now, getting through Main Street.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get there. I think we all agree on that for sure. But that would have a lot of challenges. We probably would look at doing some kind of mutual aid agreement with them to say, hey, if we have certain areas of the township that need coverage from an emergency perspective, would you be willing to assist us with that? That would either be, you know, we would return each other's favors through mutual aid contracts, or there would be a contract for service if they wanted to go. A lot of it would depend upon the political relationships that would exist with the split, which I'm guessing if that were to occur, there would be some fractured relationships. So to make operational decisions without understanding the political landscape would be very hard.
And I mean,
For sure.
from my perspective, I in no way, shape, or form would ever want to split up, personally.
No.
And I don't believe that the city would either. I can't speak for them, but all indications are that they're happy with what we do right now.
That's the talk statewide, is everybody's looking to merge and consolidate some way. You know,
Right.
Part of it is just, the main driving force is the shallow labor pool. You know, there's
Sure.
just very few people that want to do this job, or there's a lot of career opportunities that are going out there, so doing it as a volunteer or a part-time person just doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of departments statewide are dealing with some serious challenges, and that's one of the main, you're hearing fire districts, you're hearing collaboratives, you're hearing co-ops, there's all kinds of things that are going on right now to try to merge departments. You don't hear much splitting these days, but
That's been successful. I haven't heard of any of it. They're better after the fact. But that being said, I think when we rehab our current facility, or whatever we're going to build, we can make preparations for some of what you're saying. And we also have to look at the fact that the city's playing ball with us, with 24. I mean, that's a pretty big piece of the puzzle in my opinion.
Well, it is my opinion too, but certainly if we get the property we're talking about buying out here, and get that done, we certainly will have enough room there if we had to expand it to maybe even.
And we're not gonna build what we've got right now, we're gonna build something more substantial than that,
Oh, yeah.
so.
yeah, the plan going forward is to provide our crews with the facilities they need, and have not what we currently have as metal buildings that
Right.
are falling apart and rusting through and leaking water.
Well,
To build quality fire
No
stations.
service areas for employees. You know, that's strictly Band-Aids at the time. Well, I don't have a problem problem with this. I don't think it's ever hurt Quick Creek Township having our main station in Springfield now. Certainly, I can't think of what the drawbacks have been of not having it in the township. Any particular drawbacks of having the central office for the fire station down by the golf course? I don't know of any.
Just school traffic.
School traffic.
That's a drawback for all of us.
School traffic and business traffic at particular times of day that causes trouble is not going to go away. It's going to stay the same. So I particularly I have no problem having the central station office in the north end of town. As Jason said, cities playing ball with us. Now, will they always be? Hell, I don't know. Why not? I don't know why they wouldn't either. I expect they would be. Within reason.
I would think.
Nothing's ever perfect, that's for damn sure. And we know that. Administrations are gonna change. I'm not gonna be here. You two guys are not gonna be here. The people in the city are not gonna be there. Well,
Come on.
for 50 years.
No, I won't be here for
Not
50
another 40
years. Absolutely not. No.
Ed's got 44 more.
Ed's got 44 more.
Better be better.
I'll be quite honest, in about 6 months.
I
Keep going.
have to get more than a couple new hits.
Even Steve Austin.
Exactly. I love that.
So anyway, I don't have any problem with it being over there, but, yeah, be prepared if something happens to be able to easily add on to our new station out here that's gonna be out on Lido Road somewhere out there.
In the 22 response district, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been part of the planning, per your
Right.
direction, working with Matt, is the next facility we build, we will be able to expand on it, but then also explore other options depending upon if there were a split, we would need to be prepared to possibly build another facility, and then one of those two would function as the administration.
Yeah.
office.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
I do not.
You don't have any?
I do not. No, I'm
Okay.
good with the plan that's laid out here, so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 5397 of awarding the architecture engineering services for Station 24 to KZF? And dispense with the second reading.
So moved.
All right, I will. I'll second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Mears?
Before I vote, I want to state for the record, I acknowledge and agree 100%. We want another station. We want to cooperate with the city of Springboro. We want to provide the facilities and safety for all our residents. But I think this scope, I feel better with a station house and having the headquarters inside the township per se. And for those reasons, I'm going to vote nay.
Okay. Roll call.
Wow, you
You
already did.
You voted nay. Okay. All right, moving on to item 2 under Fire District, recommendation to purchase an upfit a 2023 Gator. Cost of $31,000.
So our current Gator that we have is actually part of that mass casualty trailer that we received from the federal government that came out after 9/11. Well, the truck's getting pretty old, and we're trying to work with Hamilton County Emergency Management, who actually ran that project when it came through, on what we need to do to look at, what is the end of life of that truck, and once it's not serviceable anymore, what we need to do with it. Same with the Gator and stuff. They've been a challenge to work with, but regardless, the Gator is falling apart, and we need a replacement ATV for all of the reasons that we use it with the issues at the park and Christmas in Springboro. We have somebody go down the golf course. That's kind of why we have that piece of equipment. So we're looking to replace it. If you remember, we've received a number of donations from the Fraternal Order of the Eagles. That was what they had requested a number of their donations go, so they are, they've contributed a little over 11,000 of these dollars that they would like to go to this replacement. So with that said, that's why we are looking to replace that vehicle. And we did budget some capital items this year that, because of working with the county through our new station dispatching system, we're not going to utilize till next year. So we'll move those funds to a different line item in our capital fund to purchase the remaining amount for the year.
Is this, I mean, it's a heck of a lot of money. We paid, 5 years ago, I paid $23,000 for my gator.
Sure.
So I know they're higher now. And mine's just a farm vehicle. It's nothing special.
So this gator itself, with the state bid pricing, is $21,000, but it's a $4,500 upfit for the medical bed and everything in the back to be able to transport a patient, and then the emergency equipment and wrapping it so that it won't be green bed for the fire department.
Right.
Yeah, so the actual gator itself is around 21 and some change.
Are you getting, is it a diesel? Or
No,
gas?
I believe it's gas.
I wish I had one gas. Just because of the noise. Noise on my diesel is you cannot talk to anybody in the back. Now, I can buy something to shield that noise for about another $5,000.
Buy new gator, put it on.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think gas is a smart move, actually, because of the noise. It's horrendous. I wish I had paid more attention, but, okay, I get it, why it's so much, then you got to get the bed ins about $5,000, and then about another $5,000 to get it outfitted to be service for the fire department.
Correct.
Now, will that probably have a siren and something else?
Yeah, that's
like
part of
that?
the outfit,
Probably
yeah.
have to. And, okay, do we have to, does this come, says it does, come street legal then, does it?
Yes.
Okay, so you have a state plate on it. Okay, that's good.
Is there a reason why it would be impossible to combine the use of the other gator that we have that's in the police department? You know, we're going to have $65,000 in ATVs. Is there a way, you know, I know we've got donations, there would need to be some funding for converting it to where it would be usable for both. But I'd like to see if there's a way we could utilize what we've already got. You know, I don't know that we had used the gator we have in any emergency situation, have we?
We've used it for evidence collection. We've had some crimes where some stuff was strode outside 73, and it was difficult to get down in there to hunt some of that stuff. So we've used it for an evidentiary value thing, so the officers could drive down through there and collect that evidence safely and so forth. We deployed the term on the farm. Those couple of events they have a year because of the crowd down there and traffic control. It's become a integral part of our national night outs. You know, with the advent of people shooting people in crowds and driving into people in crowds, I don't want to get into too much of what we do at National Night Out as far as the way it's planned now. The gators, our ATV is used as an integral part of that. Part of the problem with, you know, when we first discussed this back in the beginning, it rolled out because it's part of the golf course stuff. So we prep it every time we hear that there's going to be an event in case we get it over there. So there's some, and we're going to use it tonight at Halloween. But part of the problem again was Steve didn't have anything because that was unreliable what he had. So we bought the med bed as part of that grant that Loeb gave us when they funded the thing 100% to use, since he didn't have anything at that time. The problem with sharing is it has to be marked as a police vehicle. And for us to do any type of enforcement action out of it, it must be marked as a police vehicle. So if you put a fire to the police vehicle,
If you could get them in there.
Yeah. Well, they come up and use our workout stuff. We'll get them in.
Somebody should.
There could be an issue of, there could be an issue of the fact that it's a marked police vehicle, in that sense, so, and, you know, if crap hits the fan, if fire department's gonna need something, we're gonna need something, so, are they vehicles that are driven every day? No, it's not what they're meant to be, but they are being utilized. I could see the fire department can utilize their own, I could see the necessity of both departments having it, and yes, ours is being used, as I'm sure the fire departments will be used too. So.
Okay, well, good comment. Good question, too. I know, even though it was donated money, I appreciate that we've had the loan grant to be able to fill that spot and actually take taxpayers' money to do yours and the private donation from the Eagles to help out a bunch of yours. So I know it is a big expense, but if we really had an issue in Clear Creek Township, which we hope that we never do, then we'd probably be happy if we've got two of them. Like this.
I agree, I mean, I think
it's an expense.
It's for sure, there's no question. I'd love to have one at my place, but I've got a lowly old E-Z-Go, but, I look at this kind of like our ladder truck. That it's something that we don't use even close to every day, but when we need it, we're gonna need it. And, you know, I had somebody at the open house ask me, well, how many buildings are big enough for the ladder truck to be needed? And I said, well, why don't you drive out to the township and count every barn you can find?
Not just the height, it's the setback.
And the setback, sure,
The big thing that
right,
goes to the top is the setback.
but, you know, it's just one of those things that, I can see, well, I'll use the example of my property. If me or one of my girls or my wife were down back behind the barn and you couldn't get anything back there but a gator. So, you know, I look at it from, how would it affect me if I needed it? And maybe that's selfish, but that's the only basis I have to go off of. If somebody's on our property that we own, the parkland that we own, farming, and something goes wrong, that's gonna be one of the only things we can get back there, just based on crossing creeks and everything else, so. I can see the use of it. I like that it's now street legal. You know, this is something that's only happened within the last, 5-10 years, that you can make them street legal. So, I think that expands the use opportunity for it. And that's my take on it, so.
Okay, any other comments on purchase of the John Deere? Okay, is there a motion to purchase and upfit the 2023 Gator at the total cost of $31,000 plus?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Municipal?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay, and we have a recommendation to accept the American Rescue Plan Act First Responders Wellness Grant Award in the amount of $338,000 from the state of Ohio.
So Governor DeWine put together a task force for first responders and put a big chunk of the state's American Rescue Plan money towards wellness, recruitment, and retention of said first responders. We're looking at kind of related to the conversation we had a little bit ago. So with the restructuring of the fire department, the new assistant chief's position that we had is going to be a risk management position and in charge of wellness. So that was one of the parts of the grant. So we put in for 2 years of salary and benefits for that position.
And that's awesome. Is that a new position, or is that using an existing?
Well, it's reassigning a current assistant chief to a different role. Yeah.
Go ahead and brag about the comparables in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, well, that's good. You got a big award.
Oh, yeah.
The
yeah.
award compared to other
Yeah, most places got about 10 to 20,000.
Got the highest award in the state that they handed out.
And why do you attribute that large amount?
good grant writing and creative thinking.
Do we have anything specific that we need to, call out in that regard?
Well, it was a team effort, but of course, Chief Simpson led the
Right.
charge with his skills, but he was able to take Chief Urban, Captain Bueller, and firefighter paramedic Luke Drury. They all worked together on because they were already working on some wellness stuff, so they put what they compiled together into the grant application and found that
That's awesome.
one of the things they would fund is the position, so we went that route.
Convey our appreciation.
We'll do. That's why their names are on the memo also.
Do we need to keep him in retention on some sort of consulting basis?
We've discussed that.
Yeah.
He is open to the idea. Yeah,
Okay.
He,
I know that's his wheelhouse, so.
so he may assist with some grants and mentoring and teaching after he leaves on it at the school. He's still kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do.
I was gonna say, something tells me he's gonna wander right back in.
And with that, we are, and I'll send something more formal out. Jen's finishing up the flyer. We're having a retirement party for him at the station on December the 16th. I believe it's the 16th. This is the Friday, December 16th.
Is that the same day as our Christmas luncheon? Yeah.
16th is a Friday. I'll make sure I get you guys the flyer, but yeah, we'll be doing that. Similar to what we did for Mark Hirschbacher when you retired, we're doing similar ceremony for him.
Okay.
I'll try not to cry this time, but I think I'm a lot better than I know Mark, so.
All right, did we do a motion? No. I didn't think so. Okay, is there a motion to accept the American Rescue Plan grant?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. We have a recommendation to accept a donation of $1,000 from the Springboro Eagles. So motion to accept this donation.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else from the fire district at this time? Road Department, Resolution 5398, resolution accepting public streets for maintenance and under the crossing subdivision in Quick Creek Township and dispensing with the second.
Just a standard walkthrough, probably the best one I've ever been on. Very little problems in that walkthrough, so.
About how much did we add to this? Quarter mile, half mile?
Half a mile maybe.
No,
Didn't even look at it. I wasn't concerned with the quality.
Yeah. There's more water than street on that property right
Yeah.
now.
Is there a motion to approve 5398?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else from the road department?
That's right.
Okay. Police department, because that consent agenda, nothing else to bring up at this time? Okay, planning and zoning.
Nothing today, sir.
All right. Moving on to anything else under new business matter before we move on? No. Under the consent agenda, we do have the consent agenda we've all seen. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And staff updates. Matt?
Russ and all of the staff have been hard at work getting the appropriations budget ready, and we will be bringing that first reading to the board at our next meeting, first meeting in November.
Very good. Anybody else? Staff, any updates, guys?
It's not big report.
Anything else for department, fire department?
No, sir.
Nothing? Russell, you all done?
I'm all set, all done.
All right, just hearing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Thanks for being accommodating with the beat shift.